whether it's me or someone else. We're always late. Okay, text 27, all reading together, okay? Formerly, Sudarsena, chief of the Yadu dynasty, had gone to live in the city of Mathura. There he enjoyed the places known as Mathura, Sudarsena. Since that time, the city of Mathura had been the capital of all the kings of the Yadu dynasty. The city and district of Mathura are very intimately connected with Krishna, for Lord Krishna lives there eternally. Time ago, Vasudeva, who belonged to the demigod family or to the Sura dynasty, married Devaki. After the marriage, he mounted his chariot to return home with his newly married wife. Okay. Kamsa, the son of King Ugrasen, in order to please his sister Devaki on the occasion of her marriage, took charge of the reins of the horses and became the chariot driver. He was surrounded by hundreds of golden chariots. Devaki's father, King Devaka, was very much affectionate to his daughter. Therefore, while she and her husband were leaving home, he gave her a dowry of 400 elephants, nicely decorated with golden garlands. He also gave 10,000 horses, 1,800 chariots, and 200 very beautiful young maid servants, fully decorated with ornaments. O beloved son, Maharaj Parikshit, when the bride and the bridegroom were given, conchs, bugles, drums, and kettle drums all vibrated in concert for their auspicious departure. And text, while Kamsa, controlling the reins of the horses, was driving the chariot along the way, an unembodied voice said, "You foolish rascal, the eighth child of the woman you are carrying will kill you." Hare Krishna. And that's the verse, right?
Yes.
Okay. Pati grahinam kamsam abhasya shariravak asya tvam astamo garbo hantayang vahase Buddha.
Pati pragarinam kamsam.
Pati pragahinam kamsam. Abhyasya harishirava.
Asya svamastamo garbo.
Asya svamastamo garbo. Hantayam vahase Buddha. Patigrahinam kamsam abhasya shariravak
Asyasvam ashtamo garbo
astamo garbo
Antayam vahase Buddha.
vahase Buddha. Patigrahinam kamsam abhasya shariravak.
Asyasvam ashtamo garbo Antayam vahase Buddha.
We just left him out with you guys. Okay, go ahead. You do the last line. Just do the last. Hantayam vahase Buddha. Think, Pati, on the way. Pragrahinam, who was managing the reins of the horses. Kamsam, unto Kamsa. Abhashya, addressing. Aho, said. Ashariravak, a voice coming from someone whose body was invisible. Asya, of this girl, Devaki. Tvam, you. Ashtamaha, The eighth. Garbha, pregnancy. Hanta, killer. Yam, her womb. Bahase, you are carrying. Abuda, you foolish rascal. All right. Okay. Translation. While Kamsa controlling the, let's do it together. While Kamsa controlling the reins of the horses was driving the chariot along the way, an unembodied voice addressed him. You foolish rascal! The child of the woman you are carrying will kill you. Good. All right, we're in a dramatical mood. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktimarga Swami Prabhupada. The omen spoke of Ashtamo Garbha, referring to the eighth pregnancy, but did not clearly say whether the child is to be a son or a daughter. Even if Kamsa were to see that the eighth child Devaki was a daughter, he should have no doubt that the eighth child was to kill him. According to Vishwakush dictionary, the word garbha means embryo and also urbaka, or child. Kamsa was affectionate toward his sister, and therefore he had become the chariot driver to carry her and his brother-in-law to their okay. The demigods, however, did not want Kamsa to be affectionate toward Devaki, and therefore, from an unseen position, they encouraged Kamsa to offend her. Moreover, the 6 sons of Marich had been cursed to take birth from the womb of Devaki, and upon being killed by Kamsa, they would be delivered. When Devaki understood that Kamsa would be killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who would appear from her womb. There's an echo there. Okay. She felt great joy. The word Vahase is also significant because it indicates that the ominous vibration condemned Kamsa for acting just like a beast of burden by carrying his enemy's mother. Jai, Hare Krishna. Namo Vishwabhadaya Samstaya Vitave Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Pranamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachari Shatarini. Jai Hare Krishna. I think we'll just try to make this a little shorter than usual since we're getting ready for the big trip. How many people are going? Are you coming with us on the trip? Walking? Yes? Okay, great. Thank you, Bruce. Okay. In the history of ISKCON, the devotees really want to hear about Krishna's pastimes. We only had a few books out. Bhagavad Gita, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Nectar of Devotion was coming up. But, you know, the devotees were asking Prabhupada, can we have the 10th canto? Can we have Krishna Leela? So the result of it was Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So devotees then got, you know, a sneak preview into the Leela of the Lord. Now, when you look at the 10th canto, it's a little more involved. It gets a little more detailed, you know, for the edification of all the devotees. But to satisfy his disciples, Srila Prabhupada arranged for the Krishna book to get out there. And as you know how it reads, it's the verses are there, not lined up like in the Bhagavatam, but it's a fluid kind of presentation, prose, fluid prose. And Prabhupada also inserts in there, you know, elements of Bhagavad Gita and so on like that. So we have that, and now we have this, okay? I think both are great. What do you think? Yes. Okay, good. Okay, we're dealing with Kams. He was not a nice guy, but he appears to be nice. He wanted to please his sister, Devaki. So as is tradition, maybe out of duty more than from the heart, because we know this man was very obsessive and possessive and suppressive and oppressive, depressive, whatever. He's got all those things all wrapped together. And, that's his character. He's the category of the asuras, right?
Yeah.
Not nice people. Sura means demigod. Asura means the opposite. Nice people and not nice people is what is the scenario. Now, when we saw the movie the other night, Mahavatar and Narasimha, it was very obvious that there was good and bad guys. And you were to assume that life is a little bit like that. It's about mountain peaks and mountain valleys, isn't it? That's our journey, up and down. It's like a graph. It's like a mountain range itself. That's what it's all about, right? Now comes we don't hear too much about him until his reaction to the disembodied voice. Disembodied means a ghost we're talking about, right? A voice came from the sky and basically saying the 8th child of Devaki will be the death of you. Okay, we had one devotee, he wrote a play, The Advent of Krishna. His name is Michael O'Regan, and he lived in room number 2 in the ashram. He was a great artist. And he was good. He was the receptionist for a long time. He did a good job. He was kind of an intellectual fellow. Unfortunately, he passed away. He, more or less died in the temple. We had that breathing problem, and we didn't have one of those, devices at that time. But during the Sunday feast, it happened, and then from that point on, he was gone. So. 10 days later, he passed away. I'm just mentioning this because I guess his last focus was the darshan of the deities. And Okay, so Michael O'Regan wrote the play, The Advent of Krishna. And, we took advantage of he directed it, wrote and directed the play. And someone was up on the balcony and everyone's going, ooh, being, spoofed by this character. So, the 8th child will be the death of you, like that, a curse, And of course, everyone's shaking their doties. You foolish rascal. The word, Prabhupada loved that word rascal, he loved it. Sounds kind of nice, actually, I don't take it as seriously as maybe we're supposed to, because when we were kids, we grew up on television, and there was a episode, black and white features, done in the 30s, believe it or not, called The Little Rascals. And they would get into all kinds of mischief, Guess who started Little Rascal? Guess who started all of that? The antics, the pranks, and who started that? Anyways, who's the one that started to do some mischief? Krishna, right? Krishna's the origin of all, and so even it comes to like kids' pranks, he started it. Okay. All right. So that's it. There was a prediction that there would be 8 children, and 6, first of all, through Devaki's womb, and then the 7th one was in her womb, but it was transferred to the womb of Rohini, the mother of Balaram, right? And the Rohini was one of the other wives of Vasudeva, right? Polygamy was allowed in those days, especially amongst people who were a little resourceful. It's allowed, but we're not going to talk about that too much. The Mormons also have polygamy. Vedic kings would have polygamy. They would have more than one wife. It kind of makes sense, if the female population is more than the males, that is if they don't do aborting dynamics, then ladies need to be looked after, and then they got a guy who's very well-to-do, and kind of makes sense, right? But in our country, we don't allow that, therefore, Prabhupada says that you have to follow the laws of the land. But when we become Vedic, the world turns into a Vedic culture. Who knows? It might change. So, Haribol. Lucky guys, lucky girls. No one's left out. Okay, so rascal, a Buddha. Buddha means, intelligent person. A Buddha would be the opposite, and that would indicate you're not very bright, So, we're going to hear about how Kamsa responds to this, and it's very, let's say, unnoble, very non-monarch-like, the way, because he feels threatened by his sister, you're supposed to protect your sister, and on her wedding day, and, he was ready to release, just cut her at the jugular vein. So first of all, you don't kill a woman, you don't kill your sister. And on top of that, on the wedding day of all time, find a better time, but not that. And in the public, he got so defensive because he's so bodily conscious, right? Anybody who's bodily conscious is defensive, They take everything very personally. They take everything personally to the flesh. Thinking I am this body and everything that this body is connected to is mine. All the problems arise in this world from identifying with the body, and all solutions arise from not identifying with the body, but identifying with the spirit, right? Aham Brahmasmi. If that people could kind of embrace that fundamental or foundational truth, we would have less problems in the world. We would be going somewhere. We'd be, it would be like Satya Yuga. In Satya Yuga, there's a description that everything was quite almost perfect, but it wasn't really perfect because we're in the material world. There's always going to be flaws. In fact, the Bhagavatam much later on says that this material world is an ocean of flaws. It's just, it's everywhere. Mistakes everywhere. Everything's a mistake. Everything's a lie. Everything's a deception, pretty much, But even though that might be the case, persons who are trained in the culture of what we call divinity, righteousness, will try to make it like the spiritual world. Srila Prabhupada wanted to reintroduce the Varna and Ashram system, It has its shortcomings, but we are dealing with the material world, and in Kali Yuga, nothing seems to go right, but it's maybe the best thing you can get, If I buy something from Canadian Tire, some people refer to it as crappy tire, then you'll get something made of plastic, like say a snow shovel, right? And maybe the handle breaks off, while shoveling snow. Okay, at least we got the shovel part, and you can just bend over it. Make the best use of a bad bargain. That's the phrase that Prabhupada always used. In that regard, we have a body, and it is full of imperfections, and we are expected to use it somehow. Use it in Krishna's service. Yet karoshi yet ashnasi, yajajahoshi dadasi yet. Chapter 9, text 27, right? Yeah, 27. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you give away, do it as an offering to the Lord. I note that one down. That's a good one to learn. I asked our Bhagavad Gita students, please memorize that. Yat karashi, yat ashnashi, yat shtihoshi dadasi yat. Everything is done for Krishna, right? That's really where we want to go with this. So some other points here. Vedic weddings were always involved horses. And, I remember here many years ago, back in maybe 1980, we had a couple got married, and they started with White Horse and Chariot at Yonge Street, and, westbound on Roxborough, specific address 243 Avenue Road, and I can't remember if the bridegroom was there or they both got on there, but anyways, it was a little bit unique. Yeah, it's unique. It's wonderful, right? Good. So these days we You drive in a vehicle, let's see, a vehicle that's got cans attached to it. Have you ever seen that? They put cans drag across the road and people throw rice. That's what the people have picked up on as a marriage. But in the ancient times, they had like beautiful horses, the best breed, and this way, it was pompous. It was a pomp and circumstance situation. Yeah, it was beautiful. I think that's all weddings should be like that. Is that possible? I find it very interesting. These days, people, even the ones that want to go to weddings, I just wanted a quiet wedding. There'll only be about 10 people. Then, of course, 30 people show up. But, it's like that. We just want to do a quiet thing. Instead of a 6-hour ordeal, could you bring it down to about 40 minutes? Those are the kind of requests that people get. Less glory, more, keep it simple kind of program. Maybe they don't want the world to find out. Maybe they want their parents to find out. Who knows? So this is a pompous occasion, pompous party, and everyone's out there. Everyone's out there because we're talking about royalty. The king. King comes. Not King Kong, but King comes. King Kong, everybody likes him, and we all have empathy towards him, especially when he's on the Empire State Building and they're shooting. Why? He's a nice guy. He took care of Amataji, He took care of, he's just protecting her. He's doing the right thing, And but Combs was a bit of a brute, and we know that a little later on, because he's responsible for, like the likes of Duryodhana or, Ashwatthama, infanticide activities, killing babies. Can you think of anything worse? I don't think there's anything worse than that, killing babies. In fact, Putana is listed as one of this canto, we'll get to her. She's Keshiri, which means like a witch. Those were addicted to, giving trouble to children, witches. Witches have always been there. But, okay, so we're just talking about the pompous nature of this event. And so babies were born. There's a cursed story behind this. The sons of Marich were cursed, and so they came and took birth to be slain, didn't have a chance for any kind of real life. And in regards to that, Krishna didn't really have a chance when he was born finally, to be with his actual biological parents. And so they were a little deprived of that Leela. They gave birth, Vasudeva and Devaki, but they weren't able to spend time with the kids and see them growing up, particularly Krishna and Balarama. That was going to be, I like to say, compensated a little bit later on. To my understanding, the original Rath Yatra, when everyone went up to the north at a solar eclipse, the original Rath Yatra has to do with Baladev and Krishna and Subhadra. They went up to the north to Kurukshetra, and there was a big party. And who came? Vasudeva. He was one of the guests of honor, Vasudeva. And let's also go back a little bit to the arena, the wrestling arena, with Mushtika and Chanura. And Kamsa had arranged this program, feeling that he could actually smash Krishna and Balaram. Well, that's not the case. There's no way that would ever happen, that God would be crushed. In fact, Krishna and Balaram, they knocked the crap out of Kuvalayapida, and then they showed up not with their prize, but, actually, the tusks. One had a tusk in one hand, the other one had the other tusk, to show that we've conquered over it, and that's Krishna's business, to deal with the rascals, the abuda, foolish rascals, right? Yeah. That's what Krishna set out to do, to deal, and that's clear in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita as well. Paritranaya sadhanam vinashaya vishnu dharma sansthapanaraya sambhavami yuge yuge. So first of all, Krishna's there to protect the sadhus, sadhunam, right? Devotees. Vinashaya dushkritam, dush. People are douche-like. They're just not, they're rascals, you know. And they're known as, Prabhupada put, meritorious for mischief making. They're famous for doing nonsense, you know. In fact, in Kali Yuga, those who get heroic status are the ones who do all the bad things, right? Gangsters. People look at I want to be a gangster. If we line up all of you for a play and you have a choice to be a demigod or a demon, everybody's, I want to be a demon, I want to be a demon. So we're seeing more or less that is our preference. We can identify with these demonic traits. Yeah. But let's go back to the point of, what is Kali Yuga. It's a time of fault, but you can still make the best of it. Therefore, Prabhupada brought up Varnashram Dharma. He was trying to implement it and to train up people to be Brahminical people. So if you have Brahmins, you have people with good heads, and they give direction. Brahmins give direction to the public at large. That's what they're supposed to be for. They are visionary. They're broad-minded. Kshatriyas are less broad-minded, but they play a major role because they're close. They chum with the Brahmins, so to speak. They're respectful, mind you, but they follow the Brahmins lay down the foundation of how to have a pure, pious life. And it's the Kshatriyas who are supposed to follow the policies established by the Brahmins, And when it comes to the Vaishyas, they're like little kings too, but they're much smaller territory, smaller poquito, let's say, commodities. They own less. But nevertheless, they are some kind of monarchs in their own right. And the Shudras are the people that do the physical labor. They like to work with their body. They're happy to do all those things. But if they follow, they're wonderful people. Anybody who's in the Shudra category, when they follow righteousness, they're wonderful. You cannot live without them, honestly. And the beautiful thing about Varna and Ashram, it's not about status, upper or lower. It's about complementary. Everyone complements each other. So we need everybody. We need everyone. We need to know the people with a hammer, how to use a tool, how to use a wrench. When they come around and says, oh my God, thank you. Isn't it like that? There's always things needing repair, and it's kind of hard to find them nowadays. Most people, especially those who are international students, they are IT people. But it's okay, because in our beautiful text called Bhagavad Gita, it's called Bhagavad Gita as IT is. So Krishna blesses those people. But everyone's valued in the Vedic system. It's good to belong to a community, because now, the way it is, people don't have a sense of belonging. It's just, I don't know, am I a Deshi? Am I a this? What am I? I don't even know what I am. Am I Canadian? Am I Indian? Oh no, I'm in between. Oh my God. So I remember my parents are from the Netherlands, and our aunts and uncles used to say, well, you're actually Canadian, but in truth, you're a Dutch Canadian. Don't you forget it. Okay. So the idea is all these identifications don't really mean much. They mean something for the time while you're in that physical frame. But after a while, you're going to change your body. You're going to be something else. You're going to be, maybe you'll be, an Argentinian or something. Maybe you'll not even be a human. Hare Krishna. Or maybe you'll be a human, but you'll be a furry. You know what we mean by that, right? There's some people that actually believe that they're a cat. And they want to be treated like a cat. They want all their friends, and their friends, oh yeah, don't disturb his, his makeup, let it be. Hare Krishna. Don't get me started. This is the Kali Yuga. Everyone's very confused. Now, these stories of Krishna Lila, they did take place at the dawn of Kali Yuga. So you can expect some nonsense. Going back to Satya Yuga, it was pretty clean. It was pretty pure. However, there was Hiranyakashipu. He was like a black spot on a pure white bed sheet. You know, he really stood out. And as each age evolves, it gets worse. You know, you'll have more ghosts. You'll have more curses. You'll have more people making blunders and all kinds of mistakes. So Kamsa, this is also part of Leela. I mean, he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to be playing the bad guy and doing a good job at it. Well, he did a pretty good job, you know, at being nasty. Yeah. In fact, he's described acting like a beast of burden by Gary. If it was just beast, it would be a more comprehensive. We say beast of burden, it means people in the wild, animals in the wild. But when we say beast and let it stand on its own, we understand it's just an unbridled, wild creature. Watch out, get out of the way, dig a hole, go and hide. Yeah. So as we discussed the other day, the Lord's coming into this world, his advent, there's a lot surrounding it that is quite questionable. It's very dark events surrounding the Lord's birth. But then, and we'll read about when Krishna does appear, all the planets are aligned in a way to bring about auspiciousness. You know? The planets we are affected by the planets. We are. Rahu, Ketu, there might be a few more. There's no doubt we are influenced by them, right? But it is Krishna who influences the planets. And he made the arrangement that all the planets are aligned in such a way that everything became very auspicious. There were moments of peace and tranquility. The Brahmins were chanting their mantras, and the lotus flowers were in full bloom in the night. Like all these descriptions are there. Everyone had a peaceful experience at the Lord's birth. And so what I made, just to conclude this, because I didn't say I would try to finish this kind of early. We've got some details here about who's the bad guy, and you know, he's being very affected by the disembodied creature, you know, and the message is clear. There's a premonition, it was a prediction, you know, a prediction that the 8th child will come and slay you. Yep. So it is a science. You know, Prabhupada's chart was done, you know, when he was born, and it said he'll be a great religious exponent and that he will have 108 centers. So I remember, you know, hearing that, and then when he passed, you know, you can count all the temples that he opened. 108. And it says, oh my God, how accurate can you be, right? So anyways, let's go for accuracy. The most accurate thing you can do is to dive at Krishna's lotus feet and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. And also add on a little walking for Krishna. All right. Haribol. Anybody have some questions or reflections?
When we go to astrology workshop, they tell you that these things might happen. So can we think in a way like everything is already pre-destined?
Yes, it is. Yes, I mean, you know, but you can alter some of what's supposed to happen. But Krishna knows it's all, he knows everything. What is that? Vedaham Titani?
Vedaham.
Vidaham.
Vidaham Samatitani.
Yeah, Vartamanani Charjana. He knows everything past and present and future. Sri Kalagya. He knows, but it's pretty much a mystery for us. But if we can tap into like a good astrological outlet, channel, then you might get some information about yourself. And then Prabhupada said astrology is best used when people are trying to establish their compatibility towards a partner. Otherwise, we don't bother with it too much. We live day by day serving Krishna, trying to please him. And every day is an adventure, If you just go by astrological readings, on a daily, which some people do, they say, oh, what's happening for a Libran today, And if you take that almost like the Bible is speaking, you can become so dependent on what is delivered by your chart or whatever general information is given about your particular based on when you were born. It can be very disadvantageous. So, you depend on Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, I have a little long question. If anyone has a question, then I can just show you this, the article.
Which article?
Because it's related to the question that Krishna was the 8th child from the womb of Mother Devaki. But in Back to God magazine, there was a quote by Prabhupada, and he quoted Lahu Bhagavatamrita by Rupa Goswami that Krishna never he was born, but he was an expression of Vasudeva as a 8th child. But there was already a Krishna in Vrindavan. So I just wanted to show you this.
Okay. You want to show me personally, or
Personally, it's fine. Or I can show you.
You want to share it with everybody?
Yeah, I'll ask that question.
Okay. You want me to read this whole thing?
Not just three paragraphs.
3 paragraphs? You want me to read it to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that?
What is it? It's a BTG piece
I guess so.
It's a BTG.
written by Satyaraj?
It's a
Suresh.
Prabhupada quote, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe Suresh Varadasi.
No, it wasn't written by me.
All right. Any other quick questions then? Just, yeah.
Maharajji, before Krishna was born in this material world or appeared in this material world, what would everyone call him?
Well,
The Krishna name was given by Garga Muni, but Krishna was still before that as a supreme lord. So was he referred as Vishnu only, or no one knew who Krishna was before he came?
well, the inhabitants of the Brijavasis, they were followers of Vishnu. That was their lord. And then Krishna came into the picture. And at Krishna's birth, Vishnu was there. And Krishna also appeared. It's understood they're one, they are one. So what was he called, Krishna, before?
Like, did anyone know that Krishna existed before he was born? Like, or he was just known as Vishnu, and Vishnu was the only supreme at that time?
Well, that was the culture at the time. They were all Vaishnavas, right? That means they're followers of Vishnu. And then Krishna came in to add so much more enlightenment to their whole lives. Vishnu is great, but when Krishna appeared, wow, what a bonus. That's how we understand it. Is that okay? Anybody else? Quickly? Yes. Okay.
So Mark, just to add to this, just a question just to add, so Krishna has been existing in Vrindavan since before his birth as well, like when he took birth from the womb of the
Yes, in some mystical way, he's always there. I mean, in some mystical way, he's everywhere. He's here in this room. He's outside of this room, outside of the building. He's in Nunavut. In some shape or form, he's everywhere. Yeah. So in that regard, shouldn't be a problem. The more common narrative tells us that Krishna was born in Mathura and was transferred to Vrindavan when Vasudeva carried him across the Yamuna. But this contradicts the notion that Krishna never leaves Vrindavan, as articulated by Srila Rupa Goswami in Sri Laghu Bhagavatamrita 15461 and quoted by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Chitan Charitamrita Adhyalila 167. Krishnon Yadu Sambuto Ya Purna Atapuraha Vrindavanam Parityaja Sa Kvachin Naiva Gachati. The Krishna known as Yadu Kumar is Vasudeva Krishna. Oh, okay, well, okay, I lost the. Where am I supposed to find it? I'll just stick to this. But he's known as Vasudeva. He is different from the Krishna who is the son of Nanda Maharaj. Yadu Kumar Krishna manifests his pastime in the city is Mathura and Dwarka, but Krishna, son of Nanda Maharaj, never at any time leaves Vrindavan. With this as a backdrop, we could legitimately ask, how is it that Krishna takes birth in nearby Mathura if he never leaves Vrindavan? Wouldn't it being born in Mathura mean that he was at one point, at least during birth and soon thereafter, outside his sacred village? But before going on to explain this, a few words are in order about what Srila Rupa Goswami is saying in the above verse. It is not that there are many Krishnas, as some scholars have mistakenly theorized, and as a superficial reading of this verse might indicate. Rather, what is being referred to here is the complex topic of expansion and incarnation, so thoroughly detailed in Vaishnava text. Sri Rupa's verse tells us that the original form of Krishna, i.e. Vrindavan Krishna, expands into plenary forms and other manifestations for specific purposes. Thus, when the Lord apparently ventures out of Vrindavan, he actually remains there in an unmanifested state. Meanwhile, he continues on his unfolding pastimes in one of the other forms, such as Vasudeva Krishna, Krishna the son of Vasudeva. Now, having understood Sri Rupa's comments according to the tradition itself, let us re-examine the story of Krishna's birth in light of the fact that he never leaves Vrindavan. According to Acharya, Yashoda had actually given birth to twins, a boy and a girl. The boy was Krishna in his original form, and when Vasudeva arrived with his baby, an expansion of Krishna Vasudeva, the expansion merged into Krishna's original form, the son of Yashoda. After this, Vasudeva returned to Kamsa's cell and Mathura with the baby girl, as the traditional story reveals. This unique version more comes to us once again from Gaudiya Vaishnava theologian Rupa Goswami in his Laghu Bhagavatamrita. He writes, to give pleasure to his loving associates and even to relish his own wonderful pastimes, Sri Krishna manifested in Braj Vrindavan, because the parental love of Nanda and Yashoda is without parallel. Lord Krishna eternally thinks himself their son. In ancient times, devotees revealed that the Lord appeared in his Vasudeva expansion in the home of King Vasudeva, and at the same time he appeared as an original form in the village of Raj. It was thus said that Sri Krishna and Yogamaya were the twin children of Yashoda in Vrajabhumi. When Maharaj Vasudeva arrived there, he entered Yashoda's maternal room, seeing only Yashoda's daughter. The Vasudeva expansion that King Vasudeva had brought with him from Mathura entered the body of the original Sri Krishna, who had just taken birth as a son of Yashoda. In this way, the two forms of Vasudeva and Krishna became one. Because this pastime is very confidential, it is not conveyed in Srimad Bhagavatam and other texts. Nevertheless, Shukadeva Goswami and other great devotees have indirectly described it in their writings. Okay, great. So it gets a little complicated. But the point is, Krishna is manifest everywhere. Andantara, Chayanantarastam. You know, he's in the heart of all living entities. He's everywhere. So there's no point at where you won't find him. As Yogeshwara, he's the supreme mystic. He can do anything.
So should we consider this perspective of the
Yeah,
story
you
as
should
well?
consider. Yeah. But it really shouldn't create any confusion. Krishna is who he is. He's the supreme Lord, and he does extraordinary things. And we do ourselves a great favor by rendering service to him. Okay. I don't think we need to get too complicated in these implications. You know. I don't think it's that important. Main thing is Krishna's God. Yes.
Another thing, Jiva Swami Prabhupada says, the first thing you have to understand about Krishna is that he has achintya shakti, he has inconceivable energy.
Mhm.
And we're trying to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Deep brains.
Logically, yeah. Yes, absolutely. Good. So thank you very much. We're, quickie?
Yes, just a quick question. Since you were talking about people that are in minus cat, there are nowadays there's this identity crisis going on where people they are identifying as a body and they are unsure about what they are or what their gender is. And one of them actually reached out to me a few days ago on Instagram. I tried my best to answer it, but would like to know how you would approach a person like that. He was interested in coming to Krishna Consciousness, but he was like, I'm not sure about my gender, and at the same time, attached towards illicit sex. So, what would you suggest to a person like that?
Well, how many hours? Let's just briefly, the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. We're not these bodies, you know, we come, we're born as a baby, or that we have entered into a baby body, and Denos Vinyatande Ekam, just explain the teachings of the Gita, and then at the time of death, one enters into a new body as well. Just explain that. As far as gender goes, well, we discussed it, yes. Why don't you look at your genitalia? Have you ever had a look at that? Just, people have mirrors, and just look at what extra devices you have, Look at, and it should tell a lot, So isn't it funny that people get so bamboozled? Yeah. Ultimately, Prabhupada says the whole idea about Krishna consciousness is to make zero, just diminish this whole idea about sexual activity and sex gender. Identify as a servant of the Lord. I'm not this, I'm not, Mahaprabhu says, I'm not a Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, I'm not this, that, I'm not man, woman, he could have said, I am the servant of the Lord. So it shouldn't be, why do people complicate things? Why do they make such a mess of it?
Because it's told from birth that they're this body.
Yeah.
And so they take it very seriously. What's my gender? So that takes me to a funny story about somebody who was coming to the LA temple, but way back in this, I think, late 60s. So this person was very confused. And one time he would come to the Sunday program as a woman, and then the next Sunday program would come as a man. And this was confusing the devotees. Who is this? Who should preach to this person and what to do? So the temple president wrote to Prabhupada and described the situation. But Prabhupada said something in the mood of Maharaj was, well, just tell the person, look, just pick one gender and stick with it. It doesn't really matter because we're not these bodies. But the point is to practice Krishna consciousness appropriately, according to your position, your situation. So I don't know whatever became of that person, but that was Prabhupada's solution. Just pick one.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. It's not you anyway. It's something external.
Yeah, just get on with it. Get on with the seva. That's something we all have in common. Okay, Bruce, thank you very much. Any questions about today's program? Well, I put out a note there at 9:30. That's the message I sent out to Muneel. And I hope you passed it on.
Yes, you did.
9:30. Because it's supposed to take an hour to get there, but you know how things